how to say no to your child in a way that minimizes the likelihood of a tantrum. My name's Jodie Thornton, and I hear from so many parents that their children have tantrums when they can't get their way, or when they're asking for something that you just can't agree to. And it's such a common problem, but we can actually reduce the likelihood of a tantrum in how we express the no, which gives us a much better chance for your child to stay regulated so that you can problem solve. So our very first tip is, before you do anything else, I want you to reflect back to your child that you understand what they want and why they want it. Because so often our children are asking us for things, or they're wanting something, and when we say no, it can feel so arbitrary. It can feel like we don't think that what they need matters, or we haven't really even tried to figure out a way to say yes. It just feels like we're saying no just because, and that in and of itself can be quite intense for our children, which can send them straight into dysregulation. So the very first thing we want to do is to say, oh, you want the pink cup because it's your favorite and you like to have the same one every morning for breakfast, right? So you can see how what I'm getting at there, it's not just about the pink cup. In this case, it's because they like the predictability. They like the things to be the same every day, right? If I wasn't sure what the reason was, I would ask rather than say. But I'm using an example of where I have a really good guess based on the conversations we've had before. This is what I think is underneath this, right? And so we're just reflecting back. This is what you want and why it's important to you. That at least gets them the sense that they're being heard. At least gets them the sense that what they need matters to you. The next thing we want to do is actually, before we say no, is express the reason we can't say yes. So we want to get to the real reason. So the pink cup it's actually in the dishwasher, my sweetie, and the dishwasher is already running and I can't stop it in the middle. I'm so sorry, but I can't give you the cup. So you see how I'm giving the reason first and then the no, right? So when we give the reason, what that gives us a chance to do is see that we've tried, and also it gives us a chance to see, actually, is there a solution here? Because if we have what they want and why they want it, and we have what's in the way, well, is there anything there's any ways that we can find a solution here? Because ultimately our no's are only ever a temporary thing while we solve the root cause of the problem. The vast majority of the time, the root cause of what your child is upset about, the deeper underlying need, has many, many, many solutions. It's not about the pink cup. It's about, I need routine and I want things to be predictable every day, right? We're looking at the vast majority of the time, we can figure out a solution, but sometimes we need to say the no's as a temporary because right in this moment we don't have a solution. So by doing that, what we validate first and then say the real reason as to why we need to say no, and then say, and this is what, like, I actually can't, right? So there's in some way we're giving a finality to it, then that helps our child to feel like they're heard, their needs matter, we've tried, and this is the block that I have. Now, in a lot of cases, once our children actually understand what is the real reason that we can't give them what they want, or we can't allow them to have it their way, if we give them the real reason, that gives them a chance to actually think of a solution. There are times where very small children can come up with a better solution. They're not in like a routine. Like, our culture trains us to be very to find one way and do it the same way all of the time, right? To be quite inflexible. And so for our thinking is, this is the efficient way, or this is the way we know is going to work, right? They're not yet conditioned in that way. So sometimes they can think much more flexibly than we can. Also, generally speaking, they have a heck of a lot more time to think about alternatives, right? So by giving them the real reason that you need to say no, they might be able to come up with a solution that we didn't think of ourselves. Now, the last thing we want to make sure is that there's no underlying or overt tone that says, I need you to agree that my no is reasonable, right? When we say things like, now, obviously I can't get the cup out of the dishwasher, can I? Right? What we're saying is like, you should understand, right? You should get it. We're not, when we're saying giving a no, we're not seeking agreement. We're informing them of what's in the way, right? We're informing them of where there's a boundary, right? And so when sometimes the mere fact of us giving them the vibe that they should accept that our no is reasonable, they should agree that we have given them something that's fair, that vibe can be dysregulating in and of itself, because what it's asking your child to do, there's two pieces to this, right? One is it's asking your child to acquiesce, right? It's asking your child to agree that they should not get what they need. And your child doesn't, it takes a while for us to build the ability to see the difference between my underlying need and the strategy I'm using to get that need met. So when you say no to the pink cup without tying it to the underlying needs, I need predictability in my morning that helps me to feel regulated, right? When we don't yet tie that in, when we say no to the pink cup, our child sees that as, I'm saying no to the underlying need, right? And so we're basically saying, you should acquiesce. You should accept that your need can't be met. That's extremely difficult, and actually, we as adults shouldn't be doing that either. But it's extremely difficult for a child. So if we're giving the impression that we want them to acquiesce, that can be dysregulating in and of itself. Then the second piece to that is when we're asking them to agree, like it's like what we're saying to them is, particularly for gentle parents, we are giving them the consistent messages that what you need matters to us. And so when we say, like, can't you see that this is a reasonable thing? They're going to be like, no, because I'm not getting what I need. So, like, I just need you to know this isn't working for me, right? And so that can be dysregulating, because then you're in a tussle where they're trying to get through to you that this isn't good, and you're trying to get through to them that this is the best situation you can offer. And it just becomes a dysregulating cycle, right? So that can also help. So if we're just looking at, I would if I could, but here's why I can't, and this is why, right? And the answer is no, right? All of a sudden, when we go through those steps and we make sure that the tone doesn't ask them to acquiesce, that in and of itself can reduce the likelihood of tantrums. It might reduce the intensity or duration of the tantrums, even if it does end up in a tantrum. But it really helps us to get to that place where our child can start to accept a no or accept not getting their way without tantruming. Now, if you would like my support to help you to lead your child to teamwork, right? So figuring out of what they can't have, what is the underlying need, and then what are other options that we are realistic, that are practical in this situation. We can get them, get your need met, but just in a different way. If you'd like my help to be able to identify like each of those steps and be able to move into teamwork, please do book a call at jodithornton.com/call, CALL. Book a time for us to chat about where you're up to, what you've tried, what is and isn't working, and I can talk you through how I can help with that. Thank you so much for watching.